W5D2, but the picks and bans are an interesting one just because there's so many undefeated champions, there's so many must bans. Someday, 4-0 Fiora, 3-0 Poppy. Will both those champions be banned out by SKT? The Zilean ban comes off from the start. KT have definitely been the best team of champions to pilot the Poppy and Zilean duo that's been doing a lot of work around the world. And jungle bans start. Okay, what will the jungle pool look like after these bans? Because already Rek'Sai and Nidalee off the board.
Yeah, I think you can hurt Bengi a lot easier than you can hurt Score right now as far as jungle bans go, and they're doing that. There goes Elise too, so.
The 4-0 Elise and the 3-1 7.7 KDA Rek'Sai off the board. Are we going to see everyone's favorite jungle Graves, the Bengi Graves?
Maybe, maybe. I mean, they're really making it so that SK Telecom might have to first pick that Graves, which could give KT a lot of power picks. There's the Rise ban.
Yeah, the biggest unknowns, the biggest roles where you compare talent and you think, okay, one player outweighs the other. It's probably between mid lane and jungle. And the mid lane, Faker's got the pedigree, Faker's got the potential, he's had a decent season. Fires, you know, we didn't know what to expect with his reintroduction to Korea, he's been good. But you give the edge to Faker overall. In the jungle, Score's been outstanding. He was outstanding at Worlds, he was outstanding in the previous meta. He's moved to this one even more impressively.
Yeah.
So how can Score impact it now that there is so much focus to the jungle? They've left open Kalista though, and if we know one thing, okay, not professionally undefeated on Kalista anymore, but pretty close to that for Bang.
Yeah, certainly not a champion that you want to let him have, but again, you know, you'd have to imagine this Graves is going to be picked by KT for Score, and so what does that leave Bengi with? You know, maybe Lee Sin, I guess?
KT are on the red side. Will we see a last pick for top? That was their MO in the early weeks. It was all about the last pick Fiora. Or will we see the last pick for mid? We have seen Fly pick up the Zilean with the last pick. What type of KT will we see? Because if we think about what comps these guys have been best at, SKT, just think back to their first game of the season against TJ Entus. Mid lane Corki, high pressure comps. SKT look best at. KT is they started off without scale, but they have moved towards the pressure comps in recent games. Speaking of pressure, Faker locks in Corki. Faker is 2-0, 24 KDA on Corki. They're getting a lot of pressure champions, although this has kind of been the SKT story. They're not about ambiguity. It felt like patch 6.2. In fact, ever since Eva was doing so well around IEM and Kesper Cup was all about flex picks. SKT, nope, very clear what they're picking on the blue side.
Yeah, leaving their jungle and support picks for last. A little bit odd there.
They're picking for power, or what they perceive as power on this patch. It's been SKT's way. They've been punished for it, they've won with it. KT are a really good team. Can they see through this draft and come up with something? I mean, it's looking like last pick Fiora, isn't it?
Yeah.
The moment the Victor's locked in, you're like, okay, well, we're getting the Fiora top.
Yeah, but will we see the Kog'Maw? No, I think the Lucian's a bit better.
This was 2015. Arrow was loving the Kog'Maw, had a very high win rate on it in summer.
Yeah.
We'll see the Kog'Maw eventually.
No.
Fly has been threatening the Ziggs for a long time.
Well, there are, you know, arguably buffs coming for him in 6.3, so I feel like it's inevitable. But it will be the Victor this game. Victor and Lucian.
Well, it's screaming top lane Fiora, but it could be Poppy as well. They don't have the Zilean synergy, but also undefeated on Poppy, 3-0, 15.5 KDA for someday. Looking at what SKT is going to do to round out the drop. Will we see the return of the Bengi Lee Sin?
I don't really know what else it would take. I mean, Nunu, I suppose, but nope, it will be the Lee Sin.
Certainly not the Evelyn. That was one that looked a bit putrid for Bengi in that loss to Jinan. We're waiting to see what KT want to do with their last pick. They know it's against Gangplank. Are we going to see something different, or are we going to go with type? Fiora would be the accepted pick.
Yeah, I think Fiora seems pretty reasonable here.
But you can go for earlier power spikes. Olaf does well if there's no ganks. I mean, he can definitely be snowballed down on, but he does have a strong early laning phase against the Gangplank. There's lots of different options they can go in terms of top lane. Someday has a massive champion pool of carry champions that do well against the Gangplank. If it is Olaf, it means they're going for the earlier game. Poppy also may not dominate Gangplank, but certainly has the earlier power spikes in terms of impacting both the lane and also team fights. So KT have been moving away from outscale late game, and they're going to keep with this earlier power spike Poppy, but still a very strong draft, mostly focused around jungle. Score is really the one here. He's got CC in every lane. He is a wonderful Graves player, undefeated professionally, at least in the jungle on that champion. The jungle matchup, I think, is the story here. Bengi Lee Sin versus Score's Graves.
Yeah. Now, you never really know when Bengi's going to come back and have like an amazing Lee Sin game. He's done it before, but lately it just seems like he's been struggling, and you know, we do see Bengi struggle when the meta kind of shifts away from his kind of champions. Duke up in top lane with that Gangplank too is going to be a bit interesting. A little bit of scaling there. And SK Telecom, you know, the interesting thing about this team too is that they do tend to be one of the teams that's the most far behind in terms of gold at 15.
It's a crazy thing to think about SKT. They always ran the early game, but actually 8th in gold difference at 15.
Yeah.
Do you know who they're behind? They're behind EM Fire at gold difference at 15. A weaker early game for SK Telecom T1 than EM Fire.
Well, it all depends on how you finish, I suppose. So SK Telecom looking to finish strong yet again here in game number 1 versus KT Rolster, but man, it's been a while since we've seen a match between these two teams that I think is going to be as close as we're going to see today, though. It's going to be a good one. SK Telecom, maybe with their first chance to lose to KT since like 2014. Let's get in the game and see if KT can pull it off. All right, welcome to yet another chapter in the Telecom war. KT Rolster taking on SK Telecom T1. Traditionally in League of Legends, SK Telecom has certainly had the upper hand in this matchup. But we move into a best of 3 today where KT is higher up in the standings. They look arguably tighter. They finish games quicker, so it's going to be a test for SKT.
During the Lunar New Year break, Score gave an interview where he really talked a lot about this Telecom war and just the mental toll that losing to SKT so many times in his career has taken on him. Now it's all about Score. He's the one that has the favored jungler in Graves in this situation. The draft was all about holding Bengi away from his trademark control junglers. He's eventually forced off to an off-meta pick for Bengi, at least, in the Lee Sin. Lee Sin actually has a really good win rate in Champions. It's about 6-1. It's one of the highest win rate low-pick champions. But Bengi is one of those players whose mechanics kind of wildly fluctuate. Sometimes he's hitting every Elise cocoon and looking wonderful. Sometimes Bengi's mechanics get away from him. So Score's got a good matchup. Score's got CC in the lanes. Score talked about the frustration. Let's see what he can make of this game.
Yeah, well, Score's really seen it all, hasn't he? I mean, he's the only one on this KT team that was actually there. And there's that little steal with the blue sentinel that we were seeing earlier. Looks like Score's going to grab one too. A lot of harassment on this blue buff, actually.
Trying to stop the jungle follow, or at least delay it. Smite hasn't been used, though. Wow, nice reset from Wolf. Yeah,
manages to get the blue buff to reset, and he's still harassing. This is getting pretty bad for KT.
Thunderlords.
So someday taking a lot of damage, too. Flay cooldown's coming soon. They're fighting it right in the pit, though, so.
Well,
there's the Flay. There we go. Finally got it.
Chani looked to be doing the same, given his lower health bar, but off screen, and Wolf's not done.
Not yet. Wow, still harassing with these Wolves. Now he's done. Okay, so going back to what I was saying, Score is the only one in this KT team right now that was actually there in that epic best of 5 at the 2013 summer finals here in Korea, where SK Telecom pulled off a 3-game reverse sweep to take the series and really kind of cemented which one of these organizations was the top dog in Korea. And ever since then, KT just hasn't really been able to get an edge in the matchup too much.
On a very similar night to this, a wet night in Seoul was when that famous reverse sweep came through. It's been raining.
Not quite as cold.
Yeah, not quite as cold. We're also indoors, which helps.
That is nice, yeah. Nice not to get rained on.
Yeah, but will the parade versus KT be rained on? As you mentioned, they have that really long streak. It's been, League of Legends has not been the esport of choice for the Telecom Wars from a KT perspective. They've always been the bridesmaid most of the time.
Well, they won summer season back in 2014, but that was really about it for KT. A couple international events, but in Korea it's been all SK Telecom, and on the world stage too for the most part.
So SKT, I guess both teams, but I would say extra investment from Wolf in trying to stop the jungle follow, so we might see a slight difference in terms of timers. The one thing it means is that Graves actually fallen behind in CS over Lee Sin, but it's not a big factor. Anything they can do to hold back and Score, and specifically Graves, as early game impact is good from the perspective of SKT. Score moving quite freely. Going to be just standard turret swapping as far as we can see, but actually KT are the first ones to pick up that turret.
Yep, SK Telecom will get theirs a little bit later, and they won't be able to quite deny as much of the wave, it looks like, too. So we'll see what ends up happening here, but I think a good amount of CC going to go over to Arrow.
Corki definitely has the early laning advantage over Victor, just has the advantage in auto attacks, has the AoE clear that does more damage, pre-Hex Core upgrade from Victor, so a bit of a CS advantage, and the chip damage to the tower will be higher. Wolf.
Oh, hook on to Arrow. Wolf just being annoying, going in for the flay though. Duke wants to make a play. There's Bang. They get the flash from Arrow, so there's the summoner used. Wolf did use his Ignite just in case. Here comes Score to make sure SKT can't pull any more shenanigans.
SKT didn't send
Shenanigans.
Gangplank top. Maybe they were worried about Graves just coming around and ganking with no turret behind him, so Poppy's getting free farm. And as a result, they pull off that sneaky brush gank, get the flash out of Arrow, but no more. Now he'll teleport top.
Look at that. Bang with that 100% win rate on Kalista right now. Pretty epic KDA, too, with that 17.6.
Important to note, that's Champions, of course. He did lose in the Kesp Cup.
Yep. Yep, but still unbeaten in this tournament anyway.
Indeed. For now, mid lane's been isolated. Fly just really wants that first shot. Or whenever you can pick up the Hex Core upgrade, for now going to be struggling a little bit. The lane swap has definitely curtailed Graves' influence. As Bengi's, if anything, has been on the front foot.
Yeah, well, when we see Bengi play Lee Sin, we usually see him take a little bit more of an aggressive route than he normally does in the jungle. Here comes Bang. Bang and Wolf coming up. Yeah, Chani's there too. So, and they know they're there, so I don't think we're going to see any big crazy dive.
Yeah, 3 men in a turret, stronger than a 4-man stack this early. 3 men in a turret sounds like it's equal to 3 men in a baby.
That's right. It's going to be the next big hit sitcom, right?
Tom said it's available, probably.
Was he in 3 Men and a Baby or 2 Men and a Baby? I don't even know.
I believe so.
I have no idea anything about that sitcom. Did not watch it.
80s, Doa.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
I was watching He-Man in the 80s, not sitcoms.
You were probably making the right call.
Play on to Someday. Someday with the W. Duke coming in with a little bit more damage. What is it with fighting over the Rift Herald today?
Okay, it's a Rift Herald contest, but not a Rift Herald fight just yet.
It's a little bit of a fight. A little bit of a brawl. Not enough of one for my taste, but I think the thing is people just realize that you can, generally catch the other team with a little bit less health and a little bit less cooldowns maybe if you are quick about fighting it.
It's worth noting that we're not seeing the mirror turret takes both outer turrets in top lane and bot lane go out very early in the game. So it was a situation where actually both teams had more than 3 members on the same side of the map. So it was not going to be a free Rift Herald. So KT just had the members in the area to just contest it for little to no cost. No free Rift Heralds for SKT.
Sure.
So let's see what the results are here. I mean, Gangplank's got a little bit of CS extra, but not much to speak about. Corki's just used his stronger ranged auto attack to get a slight lead, but you can see it. Gold is even, turrets are even, but Score's influence and the playmaking of Graves hasn't happened in the early game. Now it's going to be level 6 impact, and if Bengi's on point, you kind of give Lee Sin the playmaking advantage, if not the burst advantage compared to Graves.
When you said level 6 impact, I'm like, no, he hasn't been on SKT for a long time, man.
It's true.
Different impact, though, I suppose.
Doing just fine over in Energy and the LCS.
Yeah, we'll see how much of an impact Duke has. Probably not for a little while on this GP, though. And Faker, for once, not being super, super aggressive in the mid lane. Everything that we're seeing here, really, I feel like SK Telecom is approaching this one pretty seriously. I
think in general, SKT have been on the ball. They were very incentivized to get the lane swap, stop Graves or stop Score from having a field day, making aggressive moves. I mean, how many times this season has Bengi died at his blue buff to an enemy jungler, whether it was Kindred, Bubbling's Kindred, or other junglers just coming and contesting him? The lane swap, the one thing that it's always done is it hides your jungler, because the jungler is always with a laner, he's always with his team, so there's no potential for you to get caught out in the jungle. There's a reason why 6 months ago we were seeing, Chani gets hooked, he's only level 3.
Yeah, gonna take a bit of damage anyway.
6 months ago, we were seeing the likes of Sejuani in lane swaps because, Sejuani dies to an enemy jungler coming in her face, but otherwise can be hidden in a lane swap. So the lane swap has hidden Bengi for the first 8 minutes, but now you can see Score's smelling for some counter jungling.
Yeah, he's been so aggressive on these 80 junglers. I love watching it. Here comes Bengi, though.
Oh, boy.
Where's my wolves? No wolves! Just a ward. Oh. That's way worse than Wolves, man.
That's true.
Well, he's going to get the pink ward at least.
Can't see
What are we
Bengi
going to see?
getting too frisky. Poppy's really, really deep. Just pushing a big minion wave. Duke's going to try and freeze it. We'll see if Someday can make some map impact. Or will it be Harold the Herald?
It's going to be Rift Herald. And that will probably go over to score, I would imagine, just give him that little bit of extra mobility.
Well, they kind of need 2 men to contest, and it's far better for Duke to freeze a minion wave as game plan than it is to contest the Rift Herald.
Oh,
so
yeah. Let's be honest, nobody really cares about the Rift Herald right now.
I mean, we literally just saw a series where the Rift Herald was contested multiple times.
Yeah, but again, that wasn't because of the Rift Herald. That was just because it was like catching somebody in River.
That's fair.
You see 2 people with low health, and you're like, they have low health. We have full health. We could go and kill them. Oh, the Rift Herald happens to be there.
It's true. Well, SKT have had control of this blue side jungle for the majority of the game. Try and snowball that into their first dragon, but Graves comes in quickly with... Wow, he's actually already got the Warrior enchant, and he also has the Rift Herald buff. This is a buffed up Graves.
Oh, yeah.
So suddenly, Dragon looks more scary a prospect.
Yeah, it's a very passive game, though, from both teams, which is probably not too shocking.
Late game team fights. If we do get to an even late game team fighting phase, it's going to be incredible to track. Because you look down SKT's lineup, unbelievable damage. Every member of their lineup, barring to some degree Bengi and of course Wolf, does massive damage.
Yep. Speaking to a little bit of damage, Arrow tries for something with the culling, but it doesn't really hit anybody.
KT do plenty of damage themselves. It's the only difference between the 2 teams is that KT have 2 tanks and SKT have none.
Yeah.
Alistair, of course, a situational tank, but Poppy is certainly going to get in the back. And if Poppy can occupy Bang and Faker, there's definitely a late game that KT can win fights in.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was wondering if KT was going to keep pushing that bottom lane, because if they were able to kind of bull rush the bottom turret down, that would really give them nice dragon leverage, wouldn't it?
Would do. They've had it pushed up consistently. They've got the good deep wards. It's just they knew Graves on the same side of the map. Graves was freshly shopped with the Rift Herald. They couldn't opt into it. Usually we're seeing Rift Herald and the instant answer of the dragon, but by the time they postured towards it, recall already came through. Score was there, so no ability to take that objective for free, and it delays any dragon stacking for SKT.
Yeah.
So this turret health, okay. Faker hasn't had too much time. Good shopping times from Fly as far as we can tell, just from that turret health. He's got 2 hex core upgrades, so now the mid lane is certainly going to stall. And when it comes to plays around the mid lane, Fly doesn't have cleanse, so if Wolf can sneak in, and of course Bengi with the kick, anyone gets behind this Victor, that'd be massive for SKT if they could time a chance roam into mid with Faker finishes Trinity Force, get that out of mid lane turret. I feel like mid lane turret holds so much weight given how similar these 2 comps are.
Yeah, it seems that way, but I think we've got a while before we're going to see any action.
That's true. Let's
Said
calm down.
Doa sadly.
Okay, let's get back in our chairs. Calm down a little bit.
I was already in my chair.
Really?
I don't know why you're standing up, man.
That's what Riotcasters do. We stand up.
Do you?
Sometimes.
Do you have tiny little monitors that you can't see if you're more than 2 feet away?
I did partake in the standing sometimes. Oh, some days low.
Action time someday. Ulting. Oh, nice dodge from Bengi getting to that ward. Oh, that was beautiful. Bengi, you beast. You deserve the first blood.
Well, that sets the tone, doesn't it?
Bengi unleashed.
Someday looks frustrated, but that was all Bengi. Really nice mechanics. First to dodge the Poppy ultimate and then to hit the Q resonating strike.
Oh.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Now, they have pushed up aggressively, but they don't have enough warding. Faker's coming to create a lot of pressure. They're not going to get this turret as an answer. Gangplank gets some free time. They're, at minimum, going to get turret damage in the top or draw out the teleport from Someday.
All right, Faker with a little bit of action on the fly. Gets out of the gravity field. There's the exhaust. Faker over the wall. The no-look rocket for the 1v1. SKT. Hey, guess what, Papa Smithy? These guys won Worlds last year.
And they got some of these powerful picks. We mentioned it, 24 KDA on and 2-0 on the mid lane Corki. The big story there is look at the bot side river. Double pinks in the area meant that there was a missing call from Fly, but he had no idea when Faker would be back in lane. Super aggressive rift in, flash over that W. Nice play from Faker, and it's the Faker we expect. It's not Faker Gangplank, this is Faker Corki.
That's right. This is aggressive Faker. I love it. And SK Telecom has an angle onto that dragon now. And they're going to take that first dragon. No opposition coming in from KT Rolster.
Score has been the one neutralized by SKT. KT must have thought they were neutralizing the enemy jungler. Send out all those bans, get that advantageous matchup, force Bengi on a champion who's been very reticent to play, at least in the recent past. But Bengi's mechanics were on point, and so far, Score just hasn't been able to get any impact on this game.
I mean, it's like I said earlier in this game, you know, Bengi can have these very good mechanical games on Lee Sin. We've seen it before. He's got it in him. He just usually doesn't want to do it. Or can't do it. I don't know.
The issue here is that Poppy is free farming, but because she keeps pushing the lane into Gangplank, Gangplank's actually winning in CS, and in general, is getting very, very low pressure free farm, now at 109 CS, same as the AD carry. Poppy trading farm with a Gangplank is never something you want to do, because in the late game, sure, Poppy's going to be tankier, but Gangplank, so much space control with his barrels and his ultimate. Troubling times for KT.
Yeah, Duke's already got his Trinity Force.
Fast.
Pretty good, yeah, very fast, in a pretty good spot. And Faker's just been able to do a surprising amount of damage by himself with this mid lane turret against Fly's Victor.
KT are losing in the pink ward battle. I mean, the pink wards are so important on this patch, but the big story has been consistent double pinks on both sides of the river for SKT. It's what led Faker to get that kill on Fly, and in general, if you can get pink wards on both sides of mid lane, you just have so much control. The enemy mid lane is so constricted to farming under their turret. So Corki, with the natural pushing advantage in the early levels, before the Hex core upgrades come, and now a kill, just has so much more map pressure than Victor.
I think SKT's approaching this really intelligently. You know, they knew that Faker was going to be under pressure, and they knew that Score was going to be probably looking for Bengi in the enemy jungle. So put the pinks down, keep your mid lane safe, and then Bengi has the ability to pay that much more attention to where Score is and kind of try to mirror him and not get caught.
Lane assignments in general are really working out for SKT. They're able to get Gangplank free farm. Felt like KT would have been more incentivized to get both turrets down bot and top, so that it was just a different style of game when the game gets more narrowly focused around mid lane. Just the fact that Duke has been free to freeze the lane multiple times, push it in when he wants to.
He's got a big CS lead.
Gangplank top should never have wave control. He should be dictated to by the enemy jungler, by the enemy top laner, always on the back foot. But no, as you mentioned, he's cultivated a 30 CS lead as top lane Gangplank against Graves Poppy. A lot of kill pressure from those two on paper.
Yep. Yeah, and we're seeing, once again, when you can, you give that Rift Herald buff to the mid lane, and that's going to help Faker knock down that turret even quicker, that little bit of attack speed boost on the minions.
Just saw Mickey do this in the previous series.
Yep. Oh, actually, maybe they'll just kind of let the minions do it for him. Nope, never mind. Victor wave clear.
Such as Victor.
Yeah.
Score has farmed up. There is definitely a farming aspect to Jungle Graves. You have higher cost core items than you do on Bengi's Lee Sin, but again, just no impact around fights, no skirmishes, no picks. Hachani's been mostly left to lane duty rather than the many Alistairs we've seen roam around the map and really impact. Mid lane has been a stallfest, as we expect, but this is the big story. Free farm for Gangplank, and Poppy doing just fine, but not dictating the lane at all.
A 30 CS lead for Duke.
Remember, Fiora was available. Some days Fiora, right next to Smev, is the best Fiora in the world, but they went for Poppy for more of an early game impact.
Oh, here comes Faker, using the package to get over the wall, trying to make a play onto Score, but he's going to be in trouble now. Gravity Lapse, or Gravity Field, doesn't really do much to him. Chaos Storm nearly kills him, though. Wow, there's the engage. Wolf goes in, drops a box. Kind of disjointed from SKT, but they still get the kill onto Fly in the end anyway. Oh, there goes Wolf, and now Bang in a lot of trouble. KT turning this run with that. I give up. Bengi's going to die. Or is he? Yep, there's a turret. Double kill for Someday, and KT Rolster turning that one around at the cost of a turret, but I think they're fine. They can probably equalize the turrets right now anyway.
You saw a demonstration of why KT went for the Poppy, though. Was able to come in, get those kills on the outside. Duke had teleport up. Didn't even respond. Realized there was just no ward and no impact. Of course, Gangplank teleporting in. No time to put down those barrels. Won't be able to do too much. There's a lot of backside damage. Wow, there's one.
Wow, Faker comes in. Gets a kill on Chani. Gets a double kill. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Faker.
And it evens up what was looking like a big skirmish win for KT. Remember, Duke this whole time pushed down a turret and piled on the CS. Looked like the play from Someday would make him pay for it.
Yeah.
But Faker spares SKT's blushes.
Duke Needs to be careful up in that top
Someday
lane.
was out of mana, so it was actually pretty calculated from Duke. They get the turret as well. He's not done.
There's the exhaust. Fly has to flash away. Faker's just decided that he's going to carry this game, and 2 kills, a turret. He's like, nice team fight, guys. I don't need a team to fight, though.
It's been too long since we've seen Faker go off like that. But remember, game 1 of the season was on this cork. He did similar work. Faker's so aggressive. Remember, he got picked, didn't die, though, with a heal from Bang on the backside to win them the fight. This is where Gangplank doesn't teleport in, Poppy does, and it looks like, okay, KT have got this. It was a nice pick from Bengi to get the kick. They take out Fly, but Sunday's teleport. Poppy's early teleport plays are massive. It was a good flash aggressively from Arrow. They picked up the kills, but the big story was that Faker almost died, went back to lane, didn't even have, remember, the home guards, but found the package, came back in, got there, just didn't respect the fact that Corky can get back to lane so fast, and the double kill on the backside and then the turret means that all in all, SKT win that little skirmish.
Yeah, a little bit of a gold lead too, 3,000, not too bad. Duke and Someday, well, duking it out doesn't seem like the right term, but I suppose it'll work here. Duke in trouble though, has to drop that ultimate, slows him down. Someday following, there's the flash. Poppy's looking scary. Here comes the rest of KT. Faker all over score though. Faker trying to prevent the jungler to come in. We may see a trade. Faker actually saves Duke by all the pressure onto score. Now turning on to Someday. It's Faker. It's the Faker Show. Welcome to the Faker Show.
Turns out it was renewed for another season, though. I thought 2015 was the last episode of the Faker Show, but he's turning on again, and they're not done.
This is insane. Faker single-handedly saving his top laner, getting himself a kill in a 1v2. He's 4-0-0 now. Picks up the Essence Reaver on that Corky, and he's ready for more.
Just haven't seen a lot of this Faker. This guy's potential has always been through the roof. His ceiling is higher than any other player in the world, but he's been playing champions like Gangplank. The team in general has been facing those lower opposition and kind of playing to their opposition. Now they're in a big match, and suddenly Faker turns it on. He's playing with his own basketball. He's running the game. This is the Faker we know and love.
That's the thing, is every time SK Telecom loses in a silly way, I say to myself, I look at this, I'm like, this isn't really SK Telecom. They're just not really taking this one too seriously, and everyone's like, I don't know. And then you have series like this. Then you have SK Telecom play like this. I think if SK Telecom wants to be the best team in the world, they can be the best team in the world. And we've got a few more games to play here, or at least one more game to play here tonight. But SK Telecom suddenly looking like that World Championship team again.
The only thing you can say is the top 2 teams in the world in 2015 were the Rox Tigers and SKT. Then, of course, the Crew Tigers. The Rox Tigers have got a lot better. We don't have much of a read on SKT. The only thing you can say for sure is that when we finally see a best of 3, a best of 5 with this main roster from SKT playing, the fireworks will be amazing.
Yeah. Suddenly, Bengi is good. Suddenly, Faker becomes like a god again. And KT Rolster reeling in a way we didn't think we'd see in this series.
Again, first game of the season, Faker on Corky, making massive plays with the package in mid lane, spawning many a nice joke, a yarn. Gets back on the Corky, and this has been the one consistent champion where Faker has been able to take over games in 2016.
Yeah, 2 dragons already for SK Telecom. Really, pretty much everything firmly in their control at the moment.
Secret Agent Gangplank, 0, 0, and 3. 003, I guess I should say. But 60 CS-ish up. Obviously going to have that Gangplank passive on his Q working in his favor. It's going to be a big gold lead in top. Not looking good anywhere for KT, and that combo doesn't help.
You will not take the lantern. Bengi says, I'm going to take the lantern anyway. And they may take this tier 2 turret. Need to be careful.
Double AD, so have decent siege.
Yeah.
Not great, because Callisto, of course, not the strongest at sieging with her range. But
See, this is really Team Ghost from SK Telecom. They've got Thresh, Callista, Ghost Gangplank. And you may ask them, well, what about the other 2 members of your team? Where did the other 2 ghosts come from? And SKT will tell you, we're going to make them out of the other team.
Hey, if you told me,
Okay, here we go, engage from Achani. That's Faker getting instantly blown up. Great pick from KT Rolster.
really nice
not out yet.
They're still brawling.
Yeah, Duke going after Someday. Bengi throws his Q and he does connect, but I don't think they want to engage that when they know the rest of the KT team is right in that jungle.
Game's not over yet. It's a big lead
No.
for SKT. They do have good scaling, but again, lack of a true tank. Those late game team fights are going to be hard to navigate.
Well, if you catch Faker, if you catch one of these carries, it can really turn the game around in a big way. And
well, let me tell you, Poppy, Alistair, excellent at getting catches. I love this duo just because if either of them hit their combo, if either of them get their knockups, it's 2.5 seconds of flying, it's 2.5 seconds for Graves, for Victor, for Lucian to just burst you down. So there's certainly plenty of teamfight catch and pick available for KT. Let's just stem the bleeding, because it's certainly been a 20 minutes to remember for SKT.
Bengi, what are you doing, buddy? Gotta get out of there. There's the Lantern. He's fine. But, yeah, SK Telecom not out of the woods yet. Rolster still a strong team.
2-level advantage for the Duke over Poppy. So
yep.
Duke's kind of had his free reign in that lane. His left lane, almost none. Remember, it's been Someday has been teleporting to get these engages in. Oh boy.
Wow, look at that. Duke going in on a Someday, gets the one-on-one kill under the turret. And it is not very often that you see Someday die in a 1v1.
Yeah, solo kill from Duke. Alistair was there, didn't actually get involvement whatsoever. The thing about Poppy is it's a decent lane. You can definitely set up a kill for your allies, but solo kill potential's never there for Poppy. And clearly, when you have free time to put together Trinity Force, Infinity Edge at a really fast clip, solo kill potential is there for Duke.
Yeah. Faker going deep and taking the enemy wolves on blue side too, so SK Telecom really getting a lot of vision control over the map right now. Still pretty dominant. Faker using the package just to get to that red buff a little bit quicker. I don't think they're going to be able to steal this one, though. Maybe a rocket might help. They lose a ward. All right. Faker's going to go for it.
Don't get it. Has to be smited by Graves, but of course it is an AD carry, so decent recipient, if not the ideal one, when it comes to the red buff. At the same time, Bengi gets free time to steal away the enemy blue, so this is the pressure game that SKT was so well known for. No free buffs when SKT's ahead in the mid game, and that trend continues.
Yeah. And it's really the mid game where SKT has always kind of come alive. You know, again, they are one of the, what was it, I believe 8th right now in terms of gold at 15. They have quite the deficit in most games, but
it's just such a
after that 15-minute mark, that's where things kind of really turn around for SKT.
It's just a surreal stat, though. I think it's just one of those statistical anomalies that, again, something to do with the schedule, something to do with just how SKT have been playing, because it just hasn't been SKT-like, right? If you remove the name of SKT, if you remove the player names, you wouldn't know that was SKT on the field more often than not. And it's worth noting that sometimes it wasn't, sometimes it was blank, sometimes it was Scout. We haven't necessarily seen this core, this starting lineup, that many times on the Rift in 2016.
That's true. They have been giving Blank a pretty decent amount of time, and unfortunately for SKT, he hasn't really shown up yet. But when they want to win, they've got the roster to do it with.
Game's not in the bag, but 6,000 gold. And again, so much damage. The thing we talk about is those tanks. Someday's certainly pretty damn tanky. He doesn't have a lot of health, but the armor's certainly there.
Duke's just calmly recalling.
Well, Someday really doesn't want to tussle with him. Even with Thornmail Iceborne Gauntlet. Needs a bit of health to back it all up. Only the Balmy Cinder and a Ruby Crystal for now. The question is, if SKT can't break the base, if SKT can't blow the game open, does Poppy outscale the triple AD SKT?
Well, at some point that Thornmail is going to be a little bit scary for SK Telecom to deal with, I suppose.
We're talking 500 armor Poppy in about 10 minutes time.
Yeah. Question is, will the game last that long? SK Telecom already going for their 3rd dragon.
No contest, as expected from KT. They have no way to get in and fight at this present point.
Yep, that's right. And now it's going to be all about Baron for SK Telecom. They've got all the outer turrets pushed in. They had vision. They did lose it actually in the top jungle, so they may want to work on getting that back, I suppose.
Bringing back Gangplank up. The thing about Gangplank is that very strong at taking Baron, because you start the Baron, you put down the defensive barrels, and people have to walk over the ult and the barrels, so you get so zoned when you're trying to contest. But even if KT try to bait Baron, you throw down that ult, it's such a big AoE. The magic damage shred comes through from the Baron, which amplifies the already high base damage from the cannon barrage. Right. Baron is going to be the story of this game, and I just don't see how KT can navigate it unless they get one hell of a pick. Well, doesn't look like a lot of fun Someday.
I like that Bengi's using the Pool Party Lee Sin skin. You know, we're looking forward to summer. I'm done with winter, man. I'm ready for some warmer weather. It's getting there, but spring is on the way.
I think KT had managed to do... Oh, here we go.
Oh, Faker caught again. Flashes, double flash right away from Score. Turn around. There's the exhaust. And no follow-up for SK Telecom, and you got to watch out for that. I mean, if there's going to be a way for KT back into this game, it's going to be catching people like Faker. Faker's all too happy to oblige sometimes.
Small thing KT could do was push up pink wards. You'll notice they actually already had 3 pink wards in their Dragon. They pushed another one further up. Now they have one on Baron. This is a really decisive Baron call. Gangplank's already teleporting.
Yeah, Gangplank does not have his ultimate either, too. Just used it. And so SK Telecom's going to have a hard time contesting this one. Bengi looking to steal, lurking around the backside. They know he's there. Might come in. Hachani over the wall. Bengi might be able to pick up a kill out of this. Nope. Goes over to KT. Fly gets caught. There's one for SK Telecom. Hachani lives, actually. Bengi goes down. No, he doesn't. Got him in the end. Arrow looking for another one. Looking to escape. He's going to make it. So 2 kills for 2, but Baron does go over to KT because of Faker being caught, and yeah, he just can't let that happen.
This is just
Faker.
A complete catch. Faker completely disregards, and this is a guy that plays with such swagger that sometimes you have to pay the penalty for the confidence game that Faker plays.
Yeah.
KT had managed to push forward pink wards. They finally had the confidence to actually fish for a pick. Got one, and that time Corki, longer death timer because we're at 30 minutes. Also didn't have the package when he respawned, so couldn't get back for the cleanup, and a big heavy penalty. Although they trade evenly in that 2-for-2 fight afterwards, the Baron is a big prize. And we were just talking about how in the world can KT ever get a Baron? A free pick onto the Corki, and apparently it's possible.
Well, if there's one thing Faker has been also consistent with, despite all the amazing plays and lane dominance, it's been getting caught. You know, he is someone who, like you said, plays a little bit overly aggressively fairly often, and if you're a team like KT, you can certainly take advantage of it.
They always say that geniuses are on the precipice of madness and just being brilliant, and Faker, that's how he plays League, and more often than not he's not punished for it, but that time KT was in the right spot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's got to be careful.
This does change the texture of the game. They were bleeding gold left, right, and center, KT. Suddenly, only just over 3,000 gold, close to 4,000. Suddenly, Poppy has so many armor items that SKT misplay a fight. If Poppy can just take the time of both Faker and Bang, even though some of these members are half an item down, KT does have a team fight they can win, especially with Baron buff.
Yeah, you know, that said, KT not really able to use that Baron buff yet to push down any of these waves.
Well, they do find it a very important use of the Baron buff. They find time to breathe, because they were being choked out of the game. It was the trademark SKT, take your blue buff, take your red buff off spawn, no camps to pick up. At least the Baron buff buys them that time to breathe they so desperately needed. Because if the game just continued on the track it was on, SKT would have won. It's just a question of when.
Yeah. Thought they were maybe going to try to push that tier 2 at bot, but doesn't look like it. Duke doesn't have teleport to get there in the case of a team fight. Yeah, he's got his ult, but he's still a little bit dangerous to go in without him.
Need to get core items onto their carries. Arrow finishing Infinity Edge. Void Staff coming on to Fly. You have to note, we talked about the squishy lineup. It's only Bengi in terms of a tank from SKT. It's some items like the Sterix Gauge. And look, it's actually quite a tanky Callista build from Bang. This is what Stitch was doing earlier in the season. Just means that you can fight in the front lines and not have to worry about being instantly burst by the likes of Graves.
It's probably a good idea. KT certainly has a ton of burst between the Graves, the Victor, the Lucian.
I mean, Victor, you know, normally we just talk about the wave there, right? We're just pigeonholed on level 7, suddenly no one can push a turret. But when everyone's a squishy, he does a lot of burst damage too.
Yeah. Definitely does.
3 dragons in the pocket. 4th dragon might be a big story here, because although 4th dragon stats aren't anything to cry about, it's literally the game being on a 6-minute timer consistently. So denying the 6th dragon and picking up those, the 4th dragon, and picking up those 6% stats will be a big thing for KT, as looking down, it seems like the Baron buffs are worn out.
Yeah, KT in a better position to fight this one too. Excuse me.
It's okay.
See if they can. Thank you.
Just waiting for some action. Looks like it's going to happen around Dragon. Chani.
Yeah, Chani getting a little bit caught here. They get the ult right away. Bengi dodging around. Can he get to the lantern? He's having issues. Gets taken out. Whoops. Gangplank ult used. This isn't exactly how you go about securing a dragon if you're SK Telecom.
Target selection there. Blowing so much on the Alistair. Rookie mistake from SKT. Don't expect them to make mistakes like that.
They wanted to get the ult out, I suppose, but then they just couldn't get Bengi back to the lantern, and Wolf caught too. Someday comes in. Who's going to do the damage? Bang on the side. Wolf gets the box down, squares the flash away, but a double kill already in there for Fly. Wolf on the run. He's going to have a hard time surviving unless he recalls right now, which he will. But all of this amounts to Dragon #1 for KT Rolster and no Dragon 4 for SKT.
I'm shaking my head. SKT's playing like they have a front line. Literally the only person with any semblance of tankiness is dead, and they all go in aggressively. You need to be positioned so perfectly to get the most out of the Gangplank barrels, to navigate the fact that the front line from KT is insane, and instead SKT completely disregard their opponents and pay this heavy a price.
Yeah, really kind of a sloppy closeout where they had a nice lead and they're going to pay for it with an inhibitor. Game's not over yet, but it's certainly swung back into KT Rolster's favor.
KT have not had a gold lead since very, very early in this game, if ever. But in a couple of different ways, first by Faker, and now just watching this fight. Remember, this is Bengi going for the pick. And you can understand, as you mentioned, getting the ult out of Alistar, suddenly they can't contest the Dragon. But let's watch here closely. Just where the Lantern was positioned, the wards coming down. It looked like there was no way, as far as we could see, for him to pick up the Lantern, but it was the next fight that I think was much more unforgivable from SKT.
Well, really smart of KT to drop a pink ward right down on that Lantern, because, you know, I'm sure the idea was to get the ult out of Achani and then get out, but in the end, they just got Bengi picked.
I forget how the interaction works. I was told that Riot had changed it, so you weren't able to ward block that, but maybe the pink, maybe it was just one of those attack move situations where you're attacking the pink instead of the Lantern, but the result was clear to see.
Can you attack move the Lantern? I don't think so. I think if you try to right-click the Lantern, you're going to end up doing damage to the pink ward with your auto attack.
It could also have been that the Lantern was a little bit shallow and it was difficult to click on. Again, I'm not 100% clear on the interaction, but the end result...
It worked either way.
Yeah. And suddenly, you look at Poppy. Nobody's killing the Poppy.
Yeah. SKT's still with a gold lead, but not really one that matters.
It's a Randuin's Omen, Sunfire, Iceborne Gauntlet, Thornmail, and remember, he has armor scaling and magic resist scaling on his W. That is a disruptive Poppy if there ever was one.
Yeah. It's going to be really hard to take him out. SK Telecom with a little bit of armor penetration on Bang. But it's still going to be hard. This is a close game, though, but we knew this series was going to be close.
It didn't look it early in this game. Poppy was just running around, killing everyone. Fake was having a big game, but him getting caught was a start.
Speaking of getting caught, Bang takes a lot of damage from that culling, and I mean, it's just been the, after about 25 minutes, SK Telecom has made a lot of little mistakes individually, and it's ended up costing them most of their lead.
Lots of easy gold for KT to pick up. There's still actually an outer turret in bottom to be taken out from a KT perspective, so should finally see the gold lead move towards KT. Is Someday unkillable to the Gangplank? Is the question I still don't 100% know the answer to. The answer is probably yes.
Kind of looking that way.
There goes the turret. Still a very slim 700 gold lead for SKT.
Chani gets hooked. Score is right there, though.
I'll do that one a second time. No rinse and repeat from SKT.
Yeah, the gold lead doesn't really matter at this point. It's so close on both sides. Everyone's kind of got the items they were looking for. SK Telecom thinking about fighting over this Baron.
Just waiting to see. It's so tense here. That time is going to be super long. We're 37 minutes in. We're waiting to see the teleport. Remember, Someday does have his home guards.
And Someday waiting to TP in. They've got plenty of wards for him to choose from, too.
As you mentioned, they have one right over there towards the left of the outer turret where it would have been. Will they get it cleared? It's important they do.
They do, just barely, yeah.
They pinged out the other wards, so now teleport play looks less likely, but of course they have the super minions, so no real pressure for them to go for anything crazy just yet, KT.
KT's now taking SK Telecom's jungle.
It's one of those situations where Someday has another Chain Vest. I mean, the only item I think that's left that builds out a Chain Vest is Guardian Angel. Man, this Poppy.
Yep.
And again, her job is just occupy the time of Faker and Bang, if possible. If not, trivialize one of them completely from the fight. Knock one of them back with your ultimate or knock it up for some burst. Poppy can build pure armor, although Faker, Porky probably does about 70% magic damage. At this point, when you have 516 armor on Poppy, not afraid of too much.
Wow, yeah.
Insane.
It'd take a lot for this Poppy to die.
40% armor penetration. Of course, Gangplank, one of the few champions that still have total armor penetration. It's obviously a lot of value in those E's, but 40% of 516 still leaves a lot of armor for Poppy.
Yeah, it does. All right, SKT just looking to get a little bit more vision around Baron right now.
So Gangplank's unique as a champion. He's a top laner, but when he teleports in, he has to teleport in early. He can impact from far, but he needs setup time to put down his barrels. So for now, he seems to just be on split push duty. If SKT want to start this Baron, they do need to commit to the teleport first, because Poppy is explosive the moment she shows up with teleport.
Right. It's close. Really have no idea who's going to take this one. Someday, though, be able to protect that tier 2 turret.
Look at how big that slowing field is. Of course, Iceborne Gauntlet's AoE field scales with armor, so now it's insanely large with 500 armor Poppy.
Yep. Just makes it easier for Someday to stay on top of everybody.
Yeah, more weight clear as well when he's in those off-lane situations, so Someday's starting to walk up. Banshee Veil on Lee Sin.
They try to make a pick onto Hachani. This is getting tense right here. Hachani looking for the flank as well.
Worth noting, QSS on Bang does nothing against Poppy, and Corki has no QSS, so Banshee Veil the only thing that can really even temper Poppy's day, so see how it goes.
Wow, SKT, they get a free 4th dragon, but they may give up the Baron for this. Can they get there in time to stop it?
Remember, this is risky. The Gangplank ult will do a lot of work here.
This is very risky for KT Rolster. They're pulling off. Thought maybe they could sneak it, but SK Telecom gets that dragon Someday waiting to TP in. SKT, though, they're going to rush that mid lane. They're
going to get this turret. There's no way for KT to react. Poppy will get there, but can't do anything. Wow. Free turret, really nice move from SKT.
Yeah, is SKT going to get away? Here comes Hachani with the engage. Flayed away, knocked away, actually. Bang on a good angle here to do damage. Nice damage on the Graves here. Faker barely gets out with his life for the moment anyway. SK Telecom on the disengage. They don't need to fight this. Lantern goes out for some armor. Duke gets caught, gets killed by Fly. One goes down on each side. KT in a good position now to go for this Baron.
Really big play from Hachani. It was a flash headbutt pulver edge. Max range to get that kill onto Duke, but Score does not. Score's the one who's dead, so they can't go for the Baron with no smite. They're going to push forward through mid and try to, at minimum, re-get this inhibitor turret. And with that teleport being used, they should, at minimum, get this inhibitor once again.
Yeah, we'll see. No Duke. That's going to hurt SK Telecom a lot. Yeah, that doesn't look like they can defend this inhibitor. They're going to try. I think he lands a Q, but there's no one really to kick. Had a really good kick against Hachani in that last team fight. That saved the big engage, but wow, are they actually going to save this inhibitor? They are. Hook doesn't land on anyone.
Still 20 seconds for Duke to respawn.
Yeah.
No way for Graves to join us faster.
Good hold. They're going to go in onto Someday. That's a tanky target to choose. Wolf in a little bit of trouble, pulled in with the Fate's Call. Hachani low, they get the kill. Faker does it, and they save their inhibitor. Wow, what a hold to not have their Gangplank there.
A lot of respect coming through on Bengi. He was the only one that could have reinitiated, but still had the kick available, so they back away. Insane that they keep the inhibitor up. And picking that kill on the backside means that map control will go over to SKT. And suddenly KT have been halted after so much momentum in the past 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was a pretty unbelievable hold for SK Telecom.
Chain Vest sold, actually going to be the null magic mantle, starting to respect the magic damage from Faker.
I suppose. It is significant. SKT might go for this Baron. They can do it really fast.
Somebody doesn't have teleport. This is a really big mistake from KT.
No kidding. Well, I mean, they're going for the inhibitor. It looks like they'll get that. Faker, though, may take it on to Someday. There's a GPL coming down. Someday taking a lot of damage. There's the exhaust. Faker saves the inhibitor and gets the kill. Disaster for KT Rolster. They lose the Baron. They lose Someday for 60 seconds, and they don't get the inhibitor.
They went all in on the Metal Gear Solid style back door, and it just doesn't pay off. Faker taking exhaust comes across as a masterstroke in that particular instance. And now SKT with Baron buff are going to push up, and you have to think, break the base.
Yeah, it's looking good for SKT for the moment anyway. We'll see what happens. 35 seconds or so until Someday comes back again.
Baron buff minions.
SK Telecom.
To clear.
They're going to grab Hachani. He's got his ult. Whoa, his Faker does so much damage right now. Oh, man. Again, remember, SK Telecom, no big front line.
20 seconds
to be careful. Yeah.
Gangplank split pushes the bot turret. But again, not big factor. They want to keep this up, but they're not going to be able to.
Are they going to push in here? Someday back in 10. They got to be really careful. They're going to get the inhibitor. What a comeback from SKT. Comebacks after comebacks, but I mean, this series is delivering so far, man. Both of these teams playing pretty well. Just little mistakes separating the winners from the losers here.
And a rotate. It's a big Baron power play for SKT. KT went all in on the back door. Couldn't pick up the turret that was so low. Now losing so much of their base. Can they even hold this inner top turret in top?
Well, Someday's back, so it may be a little bit easier now. Someday's still extremely tanky.
Give it a turret. I mean, DPS now down to 50%. Still see this Baroned up cannon minion.
Yeah.
Pushing strongly.
You know, the big story here too is that Faker's got his Banshee's Veil, so that makes him a lot safer. And keeping Faker safe is really the key to handling that engage from Poppy.
Just following the note about items. We've had a lot of talk about Last Whisper. Definitely it's been an item that's not been built much. Bang picked it up early, actually.
Oh, TP, Duke coming in.
Defensive TP.
I guess so. All right. Turret getting ever lower. Bengi in the base. A safeguard back to safety. There goes the turret. I said, there goes the turret. There goes the turret. Okay. Got it that time.
Just keep staying, though. There is 5 men alive, but Hachani's super jumped out.
Someday trying to flank. He's going to go after Bengi. SK Telecom needs to back away. A little bit awkward. Someday on his own. They pull him in with the Fate's Call. Bengi flashes back in. No, he doesn't flash, actually. Gets caught, though. Nearly gets killed. Hachani, though, in the back lines. He gets low. Bang, nearly taken out with that collateral damage. Poppy completes the kill. SKT on the run now. Someday low. There goes Faker. KT finds the fight. Cannon minion denied. Get out of there.
They keep their inhibitor alive, but both turrets down. 2 people dead for 60 seconds. But what can KT do with the time? They need to, at minimum, get this inhibitor. They failed to. Backdoor just a couple of minutes ago. Such a titanic fight. This was all started by Hachani headbutting Bang back into the team. This was after Someday was already scrapping, and everyone skipped forward to kill Bang. Finally, the flash heroic charge was enough. Someday doing so much work. He falls low, but this is 550 armor. Poppy doing a lot of work. So
great play by Someday.
They finally break that push, and they're going to look to get this inhibitor, and with 30 seconds on both AD carries, they're going to get that at minimum.
Yeah, they should certainly do that. So inhibitors are going to be down in both mid lanes, it looks like, or in the mid lane for both teams anyway. That should be an easy inhibitor kill. SK Telecom doesn't really want to fight this.
Oh boy.
Oh, KT pushing even farther. Bang back in 5 seconds. A little bit longer for Faker. They're going to go in. They're going to force a fight. Score a little bit low. Needs to be careful. Duke looking for an opportunity. Gets knocked up. That's a lot of damage coming in from Fly. Has to be careful. That's right. Wolf, Bang back in the fight yet again. There's the Fate's Call. Bengi caught. Here comes Faker trying to make a play. Score goes down. Faker able to help GP get one. Someday taken out. And SK Telecom with the ace. They're going to take game number 1. KT pushing it just a little bit too far, and that is going to cost them the game.
For sure, Doa. KT felt like they couldn't let it go. They thought they would be bled out because they lost their top lane inhibitor turret, so they went all in. They had a 9-second window after they pushed the inhibitor to get a pick, but no pick was forthcoming. Faker comes in with the home guards, and SKT win the first game.
Wow, and they're going to actually just clear this other inhibitor.
They've got so much time.
I mean, they can wait till the minion wave shows up too. Again, you know, still nobody really that tanky on SK Telecom. Hachani up in 15, but the game's going to be over by then. And wow, what a first game to this series, back and forth. Good play from both sides, but in the end, the World Championship team takes it. SK Telecom 1-0 so far. GG.
The Telecom Wars always deliver. Doesn't matter that we're just in the first half of spring season. A titanic game between SKT and KT comes right down to the wire. KT, they just went for the win. They were like, okay, we're either going to win it now or we're going to lose due to our turrets being down. Nice hold by SKT a couple of times, won them the game. Man, I can't wait for game 2.
Well, this is exactly what we wanted to see out of this. I mean, the margins so small, determining the winner of the loser.